AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
And away we go, episode 1213 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, December 8th, 2025, and it now is official. The NFL team of Washington, D.C., currently known as the Commanders, is missing the NFL playoffs for the 26th time over the last 33 NFL seasons. 1993 through 2025, a 33-season span. Washington, during that span, has made the playoffs a mere 7 times. 1999, 2005, 2007, 2012, 2015, 2020, and 2024. And Washington is not making the playoffs in the 2025 season. A 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon officially eliminated our Commanders from NFC East contention. This off the team already having been eliminated from wild card contention. The Redskins made the playoffs in 8 of 11 seasons from the 1982 through 1992 seasons. The team now has missed the playoffs in 26 of the last 33 seasons. Let that sink in. And oh yeah, the team now has lost 8 consecutive games to fall to 3-10 in the NFL's 2025 regular season. And oh yeah, the QB1, Jayden Daniels, got hurt again. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Happy holidays. The Commanders on Sunday afternoon got back Jayden Daniels and got back receiver Noah Brown, and yet got blown out and at a Vikings team that had been having a horrendous season, a new low for our team in this regular season, but another loss. The Commanders have gone from 3-2 to 3-10. They are in possession of the number 6 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. But in possession of the number 1 overall pick in the draft is the 2-11 New York Giants. And we just so happen to have the 3-10 Commanders at the 2-11 Giants this Sunday afternoon at 1. Understand that the Commanders are 1 game out from having the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Monster game this Sunday afternoon. Operation Loseout 2.0, which we are conducting on this podcast, is on fire off this loss at the Vikings on Sunday afternoon. Olo is rolling. Play the theme song.
Operation Loseout. Yeah, we're running it back. Did it once for JD5. Now we're back on track. Every Sunday feels like deja vu. Dropping L's on purpose. What else we gonna do? Take the snap, take the fall. Let the future make the call. Stack the picks, trust the route. It's version 2.0. Time to lose out.
Yes, sir. Time to lose out. Operation Lose Out 2.0. OLO. OLO. If not for OLO, I don't know how I would be doing this podcast these days. Coming up on the show, in-depth reaction to and analysis of the Commanders' hideous 31-0 loss at the Vikings. Next segment, discussion of what has become increasingly bothersome to me about the season, and a deep dive on a highly disappointing performance by the offense, including Jayden Daniels leaving the game due to getting hurt, an apparent serious knee injury for tight end Zach Ertz, and some curious play calling by offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury. The following segment, examination of maybe the worst performance of the season by the defense, and yes, that is saying something, and they'll talk some special teams. And also on the show, conversation about college football, the Washington Nationals, the Washington Capitals, the Washington Wizards, and college basketball. As remember, this is the podcast that follows Washington, D.C. area sports so that you don't have to. The college football playoff now is set, and bowl games now are set, and the college football playoff includes James Madison and not Virginia. I'll get into all that went down with those two teams on Conference Championship weekend. JMU's 31-14 win over Troy at Bridgeforth Stadium in Harrisonburg, Virginia in the 2025 Sun Belt Conference Championship game on Friday night. UVA's heartbreaking 27-20 overtime loss to Duke at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina in the 2025 ACC Championship game on Saturday night. Also, I'll react to JMU hiring Billy Napier to replace departing head coach Bob Chesney, who will coach JMU in the playoff, and I'll react to Virginia Tech reportedly bringing back fired head coach Brent Pry to be its defensive coordinator. I'll break down a significant trade by the Nats. They on Saturday evening announced having traded lefty reliever Jose A. Ferrer to the Seattle Mariners for two prospects, catcher Harry Ford and right-handed pitcher Isaac Lyon. Say bye-bye to Keibert Ruiz as the Nats' number one catcher. The Caps, they over the weekend extended their point streak to 8 games. Late night on Friday night, a 4-3 shootout loss at the Anaheim Ducks. Sunday night, a 2-0 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets at Capital One Arena. The Caps did suffer 2 more injuries. I'll tell you about those, but goaltender Logan Thompson continues to kill it. The Wizards, they in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season fell to 3-19 with a 131-116 loss to the Atlanta Hawks at Capital One Arena on Saturday night. But in fairness to our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, they were without 5 key players due to injury. And also in this game was Wizards head coach Brian Keefe laying down the law, having Kim Whitmore as a DNP CD, and Keefe, during his postgame press conference, was rather clear about why Whitmore was a DNP CD. I'll play that audio for you. And we in college basketball over the weekend had losses for Georgetown and Maryland, but wins for Virginia Tech and Virginia. The losses for Georgetown and Maryland were road blowout losses to good teams. So the Hoyas lost at number 16 North Carolina 81-61 on Sunday evening. The Terrapins lost at Iowa 83-64 on Saturday. The Hokies, they beat George Mason 73-62 at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia on Saturday afternoon. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Lots of feedback on the Commanders off their loss at the Vikings as Operation Lose Out 2.0 remains in full effect from Scott Welch on X. Right, Scott? Operation Lose Out 2.0 continues. Thank you for that, Scott. From Zim on X. Right, Zim? I was very worried, but Olo looks to be going strong. Thank you for that, Zim. Yes, Olo is going strong. From Scott on X. Right, Scott? Hashtag Olo25. Thank you for that, Scott. From One Man Show 69 on X. Writes One Man Show. Olo is gaining momentum. Thank you for that, One Man Show. Yes, Olo is gaining momentum. Olo is gaining mo. From Navy B. Young on X, writes Navy, Operation Throw Up. This team makes me sick to my stomach. Thank you for that, Navy. From Kenneth on X, writes Kenneth, Washington Commanders making bad teams look good since 1999. There are very few positives which we can take from this game, perhaps only that the team is getting closer to that high draft pick. Thank you for that, Kenneth. You can go back further than 1999. The problems with our team really started with the 1993 season. From Travis on X writes, Travis, the key to this season is losing to the Giants so we can get the best pass rusher available. Thank you for that, Travis. Yes, huge game. Commanders at the Giants this Sunday afternoon at 1. Monster game when it comes to Operation Loseout 2.0. From The Last of the Fallen on X writes, The Last of the Fallen, DQ and company should get one more season tops after the repeated pitiful showings and efforts this season. Thank you for that. The Last of the Fallen. From Addison Strong on X writes, Addison, losing is one thing, but time and again, Washington has been non-competitive in games. Too much I'm proud of you guys crap from DQ and staff. If I'm the owner and AP, I cut the cord. Let the fans know that this is not how we are going to do things. Thank you for that, Addison. Well, a great supporter of this podcast, Dr. George Verghese. He is one of the nation's premier dermatologists, and operating under his direction is the Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland, which has locations in Waldorf, Maryland, Leonardtown, Maryland, and Lexington Park, Maryland. The Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland focuses on medical skin care, cosmetic procedures, and skin cancer diagnosis and comprehensive care. Call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Dr. Verghese and the Institute can help you or someone who you care about with any of a number of dermatological needs. If you're dealing with allergic reactions, if you're dealing with acne, psoriasis, or eczema, if you're interested in procedures like Botox, laser hair removal, chemical peels, or smart lipo, which is the latest in body sculpting technology, call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Also, Dr. Verghese and the Institute offer free skin cancer screenings to anyone considered a new patient, and Dr. Verghese and the Institute offer advanced treatments for skin cancer, including painless and scarless skin cancer treatment. Call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. For excellent and comprehensive skin care, contact Dr. George Verghese and the Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. It is true that the Washington Commanders in the NFL's 2025 regular season have gotten bludgeoned by injury. Injuries, to me, are the number one reason for the team's disappointing season, but it is also true that the Commanders in this regular season have routinely gotten embarrassed. The only instance of the team rising up in terms of the team being in an injury-ravaged state and rising to the occasion against a good team was the 27-26 overtime loss to the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on November 30th. That is the only instance of the Commanders rising up, the only instance of the Commanders in an injury-ravaged state rising up against a good team. The overwhelming majority of the Commanders' losses in this regular season have been humiliations. That is the truth. That does not speak well for the front office, coaching staff, or players. A 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon. The Commanders now have lost 8 consecutive games to fall to 3-10 with a point differential of minus 92. The Commanders are tied with the Arizona Cardinals and New Orleans Saints for the second worst record in the NFC and have the second worst point differential in the NFC. Washington, even with Jay Gruden as head coach, and even with Ron Rivera as head coach, had upset wins that weren't supposed to happen but did happen. Rise up wins. Think the 2017 overtime win at the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football on October 27th, 2014. Think the 23-17 win at the Pittsburgh Steelers on December 7th, 2020. Think the 29-19 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at FedEx Field on November 14th, 2021. Where has any of that been this season? And so while I do believe that injuries are the number one reason for this atrocious season, and while I do not believe that general manager Adam Peters or head coach Dan Quinn should be fired, I am disappointed and disturbed by the fact that so many of these losses have been so bad. This was Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon.
All right, guys, we can begin. Oftentimes you stand here after a loss, you try to find, the something good that you wanted to point to, as hard as that is. But tonight, honestly, I don't. What I told the team was I thought we took a step forward last week, and tonight I thought we took 3 steps back. And we didn't find our rhythm and let them live into theirs. So tonight, to me, none of it was acceptable. It's 4 division games in our season, and it is an absolute must that we recapture that forward progress that I saw in the last week, because we absolutely did not have that tonight in all 3 phases, all the way through it. So,
yeah, man, 3-10 with a point differential of -92. We, during Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Davala of The Athletic and Quinn.
What kind of toll can, I guess, these kinds of losses, all the injuries, what kind of toll can that take on a team mentally, emotionally?
It's a lot emotionally, I would say. Just because, like last week, they were, what else do I, what do we get over the hump? And I said, you keep working, you keep going. And so in some regards, tonight's harder. Tonight's harder because when you're that flat, did you leave it all on the table and you didn't fill the tank back up to go? And that's our job, is to find a way to go do that and stand strong again. And so I just felt like we were fighting off our back foot. It felt like in all phases, just not aggressive enough, not downhill enough. And I'll give credit, like I said, Flo and Kev both, I thought called good games. And so, but it felt like that, not as aggressive as we needed to be in all phases.
All right, to the QB1, Jayden Daniels. I wanted our QB1, Jayden Daniels, to play again this season if he was truly healthy, and if there were more than 1 or 2 games left for the team in this regular season. So I was glad that Daniels was back for this game at the Vikings, but his outing was a disaster, no doubt. Daniels returned from a 3-game absence caused by a dislocated left elbow that he suffered in the Commanders' 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on November 2nd. But he left this loss at the Vikings due to hurting the left elbow. 4th and 3 for the Commanders at the Vikings 19 with 8:24 left in the third quarter. Daniels was intercepted by edge defender Andrew Van Ginkel, who generated a 40-yard return. Daniels took a shotgun snap, and while being pressured, as he was pressured a ton in this game, had his pass tipped by Van Ginkel, who then caught the ball. Daniels, while chasing Van Ginkel on the return, got shoved to the ground by cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, and Daniels landed on the left arm. Daniels, after the play, was clutching his left arm in a very frightening scene, and that was it. He ended up being done for the game. Here was Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon on the status of Jayden Daniels.
Give you an update on Jayden. Obviously fell on his elbow, was questionable to return and could have. It was my decision to sit him out.
And that right there was the best part of the Dan Quinn postgame press conference, hearing that Jayden Daniels could have gone back into the game. Jayden Daniels, in that aforementioned loss to the Seahawks, returned from a 1-game absence caused by a right hamstring injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 44-22 loss at the Dallas Cowboys on October 19th. And Daniels missed 2 games due to a left knee injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th. Jayden Daniels this season cannot stay healthy. And this is a big part of this nightmare of a 2025 season that the Commanders are having. I mean, understand what we have here. Daniels on Sunday afternoon was the Commanders' starting quarterback for just the 7th time in 13 games in this regular season, and he got hurt for the 4th time in those 7 games. Now, he did not suffer a new injury, and as Dan Quinn said, Jayden Daniels could have gone back into the game. But still, just 7 out of 13 games in this regular season, and he has gotten hurt in 4 of those 7 games. That's concerning. That's concerning. Jayden Daniels, to me, needs to play. He needs the work. He needs the reps. He is not a finished product. He's not exactly killing it this season when he is on the field, and there are plenty of reasons for that. I don't think that he's some horrible quarterback all of a sudden, but he needs work. He needs reps, and I'll tell you something else. He needs to show that he can stay healthy. He needs to work on how to stay healthy, how to manage running so much, how to limit quarterback contact. Just sitting him for the rest of this season, just shutting him down, I'm not in favor of that. I'm even more not in favor of that now. We need to see more of what exactly we have here in Jayden Daniels. Because if he can't stay healthy, if he is in fact injury prone, that's a big problem. But that's something that we need to find out. Now, the issue of Jayden Daniels' durability is tricky. We've talked about this. He, over 5 seasons as a collegiate QB1, was durable. He, during his all-time great rookie NFL season, was durable. That stuff should not be forgotten. That should be entered into the discussion. But he, this season, has suffered 3 different injuries: a left knee injury, a right hamstring injury, and a dislocated left elbow. He has gotten hurt in 4 of his 7 games in this regular season. He is a thin-frame quarterback who runs a lot and takes a lot of contact. There's a lot to process with this issue of Jayden Daniels' durability. More from Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon. We had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
Jayden, it's the first straight game where he's going to come out being hurt. Do you still want to see him for this year? Is there still a chance to play?
Yeah, it's an important development time for him. There's no zero risk game. We try to manage that. But for the development point of it, it's important. It was my decision to sit him. I just felt we didn't hit our space to be close like we wanted to be. I thought he had a really good, week, 2 weeks really practice, John. And so having the guys come back, I felt like, all right, this is another chance to take another step forward. And so when we didn't today as a team, I think all of that was a contributing factor, not one position or one play.
All right, and we later, during Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon, had this exchange between Mitch Tischler of Monumental Sports Network and Quinn.
Going back to Jayden, it was your decision. Was it a conversation with Jayden and kind of what?
No, I didn't. He's upset, but no, I didn't. It was just my call where we were at, and just thought we were off, as a team, and so I felt like, hey, this is the right call at this moment. It wasn't anything other than that. I just felt like, man, we were off as an entire group, offense, teams, defense. I thought this is the right call at this time, and let's regroup it and see what we can do.
Well, as far as Jayden Daniels' actual play in this loss to the Vikings, look, he struggled against a very good and aggressive Vikings defense. The Vikings for this regular season through Week 13 were number 11 in the NFL in total defense in terms of DVOA. Were number 10 in the NFL in total defense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com. Were number 5 in the NFL in team sack percentage at 8.54, and were number 1 in the NFL in blitz percentage per Sport Radar at 43.8. Daniels against that defense went just 9 for 20 for just 78 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. He took 1 sack, which is a scramble sack, for a mere 1-yard loss. He had 4 carries for 16 yards. He was pressured a ton. He did not always handle the pressure especially well. And his replacement did not fare any better. Marcus Mariota came into the game in the third quarter as we again saw Mariota. Man, we have seen a lot of this guy this season. Mariota was not especially good. He committed 2 turnovers, an interception, and a lost fumble. He went 2 for 4 for 30 yards, no touchdowns, and the interception. He took 1 sack, which was for an 8-yard loss. He had 2 carries for 7 yards and a lost fumble. Mariota on his 4th snap of the game through the interception. 2nd and 9 for the Commanders at their 37 with 5:05 left in the third quarter. Mariota on a shotgun drop back fired a pass right to safety Harrison Smith for an interception. The Commanders' offense in this game, no points, just 206 total net yards of offense, just 4.2 yards per play, just 3 for 10 on third downs, just 1 for 3 on fourth downs. And this was despite the team having its QB1, Jayden Daniels, and top 3 receivers in Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel Sr., and Noah Brown all playing together for the first time since that loss at the Packers on September 11th. So much for the band being back together. Terry McLaurin in his second game back of having missed 7 of the Commanders' previous 8 games due to a twice-injured quadriceps, had 3 receptions for 41 yards on 6 targets. Deebo Samuel had 4 receptions for 27 yards on 6 targets. He had a drop, 4th and goal at the 2 with 2:46 left in the first quarter. Deebo had a drop on a shotgun incompletion by Jayden Daniels. The ball went off the hands of Deebo as he ran across the back of the end zone. But Deebo, earlier on that drive, to his credit, had a great reception. 3rd and 13 for the Commanders at the Vikings 34 with 5:15 left in the first quarter. Daniels had a 15-yard shotgun completion to Deebo, who generated 16 yards after the catch. Noah Brown was back. He returned from a 10-game absence off being listed as dealing with groin and knee injuries. So the Commanders on October 15th announced having placed Brown on the reserve/injured list. The Commanders on November 24th announced having opened the 21-day practice window for Brown. And the Commanders this past Saturday afternoon, December 6th, announced having activated Brown off the reserve/injured list. Finally, he was back. He had 1 reception for 19 yards on 2 targets, and he drew a defensive pass interference penalty, which is something that Brown is so good at inducing. 3rd and 7 for the Commanders at their 26 with 13:31 left in the third quarter. Brown drew a 14-yard defensive pass interference penalty by Vikings cornerback and former Washington cornerback Fabian Moreau. Yes, Fabian Moreau still is in the NFL. I was happy to see that. Nice to have McLaurin, Samuel, and Brown playing, but the offense overall was not good. During Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon, had this exchange between columnist Barry Verluga of the Washington Post and Quinn.
Do you think the fact that guys have been in and out of the lineup, Jayden included, but Noah, Terry, and others, has prevented the offense from finding any sort of rhythm?
Yeah, I've said the word, and I think it applies, continuity. And the reason I say that, you just find a battle rhythm together when you're doing things. We're primarily a 3-wide team, and then we, then play, the second personnel group for us is 2 tight ends. We played more of that this year just due to the injuries at receiver, but I think that's timing, flow, communication, all of that. But I liked how the practice week looked, having Noah back. That was kind of the one more piece we were getting into, and finding that continuity was big. So, like I said, I didn't see this coming. I thought it was a time to take another step forward, That's what my eyes told me at practice, and through the first drive, liked what we saw, and then obviously just fell out of rhythm, and they did not. And we got to make them through it. All the situations, the ball, the things that we said would be the deciding factors in the game, they were. We just happened to not nail them.
All right, there's also this. Jayden Daniels was not the only Commanders player who got hurt in this game. Tight end Zach Ertz, he had 1 reception for 11 yards on 2 targets. He in the third quarter left the game due to what appears to be a serious right knee injury. This is Ertz's age 35 season and second season with the Commanders, for whom he has played in every possible regular season and postseason game. 33 for 33. This off having dealt with various injuries prior to signing with the Commanders as an unrestricted free agent in March 2024. The team this past March re-signed him as an unrestricted free agent to a reported 1-year contract, and you gotta wonder if he has played his last game with the team. That was a nasty-looking right knee injury that Ertz suffered in this game on Sunday afternoon. Here was Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon on the status of Zach Ertz, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between John Keim and Quinn.
One injury update that I wanted to hit you with is early signs say a serious injury for Zach Ertz. And that's hard, man. This guy is one hell of a competitor in every way. And, to see the frustration and emotion with that. All of us are feeling that. I'll have the imaging tomorrow, but I wanted to give you that update from an injury standpoint. And that said, I'm ready to roll with you guys.
With Zach, ACL is over.
Yes, yeah, that's what we're concerned about, and they'll go through the imaging tomorrow. But the early signals, John, aren't good, and let's hope for the best. But the concern is that's a serious knee injury.
Yeah, all the best to Zach Ertz, but it does look like his season is done. And then there was the Commanders' rushing offense in this game. Commanders running backs who got carries in this game, Chris Rodriguez Jr. and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, they combined for 17 carries for 84 yards. Pretty good, right? Rodriguez had 10 carries for 52 yards and no targets. Krosky-Merritt, 7 carries, 32 yards, no targets. Rodriguez on the Commanders' first offensive drive had 4 carries for 31 yards, giving the Commanders a second and goal at the 2. But offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury called 3 consecutive passing plays, each of which resulted in an incompletion, though the last of the plays did result in that drop by Deebo Samuel. So the play was there to be made by Deebo. He did not make the play. But I do want to say this, and I say this as someone who is a big fan of Kliff Kingsbury, and I say this as someone who is not one of these, you got to run the ball fanatics, okay? But in that spot, I don't get why Kingsbury didn't run the ball. Maybe Jayden Daniels checked out of a run once or twice. That is possible, but analytics say that the location to run the ball is in the red zone. And especially with Rodriguez doing as well as he was doing, I did not get getting away from Rodriguez in that spot. Second and goal at the 2, 3 consecutive passing plays as opposed to at least 1 run for Rodriguez in that sequence. Never mind, 2 or even 3 runs for Rodriguez in that sequence. The Vikings couldn't stop Rodriguez on that drive, and yet the Commanders stopped feeding Rodriguez. Nova Fireplace and Stove is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for fireplaces. Transform the look and feel of your home and increase its value by visiting Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or by visiting novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace. From sleek and modern to rustic and cozy, Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style. And here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements, and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed and insured company with over-the-top credentials, gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Every job includes a free in-home estimate, and for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia and thus knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. That's Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Nova Fireplace and Stove, where comfort meets craftsmanship, and your fireplace becomes the heart of your home. More now on the Washington Commanders losing their 8th consecutive game to fall to 3-10 in the NFL's 2025 regular season, a 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon. Let's talk Commanders defense. So this was the 3rd game for the Commanders with head coach Dan Quinn serving as defensive coordinator, off him on November 10th, having announced having demoted Joe Witt Jr. and having taken over as defensive coordinator. And the defense was horrendous despite facing a Vikings offense that had been horrendous. The Vikings for the 2025 regular season through Week 13 were number 29 out of 32 NFL teams in total offense in terms of DVOA, and were number 29 out of 32 NFL teams in total offense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com. But the Vikings for this game had their true starting offensive line for just the second time in 13 games in this regular season. And the Commanders' defense, off having shown improvement, right, in each of the team's first 2 games with Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator, got ripped. The Commanders allowed the Vikings to go 6 for 11 on third downs, 2 for 2 on fourth downs, and 4 for 4 in the red zone. How about the Vikings' second offensive drive? I think that thing may still be going on. The Commanders allowed the Vikings to put together a 19-play, 98-yard drive that consumed a jaw-dropping 12 minutes, 1 second off the clock, and resulted in a 3rd and 1, 8-yard under-center handoff touchdown run by running back Jordan Mason with 5:41 left in the second quarter. The Commanders gave up a 19-play, 98-yard touchdown drive that ate up 12 minutes, 1 second off the clock. The Commanders' defense on that drive could not get off the field. But to me, nothing with the Commanders' defense in this game was worse than the defense getting picked apart by Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who had been reeling. I on this podcast have said that so much of defense in today's NFL is the quarterback who the defense is facing. Well, what about a defense that's so bad that it makes a quarterback having a horrendous season look great? J.J. McCarthy for this regular season through Week 13 had a total QBR per ESPN of just 24.1 and had started just 6 of the Vikings' 12 games due to various injuries. He was having an abysmal season. But McCarthy in this game went 16 for 23 for 163 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and had 6 carries for 19 yards. He looked like a promising second-year NFL quarterback. He did not look like the bust who he had looked like previously. Leave it to our Commanders. Leave it to the 2025 Washington Commanders defense to make arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL this regular season look great. And the Commanders' run defense was bad. They allowed Vikings running backs Aaron Jones Sr., Jordan Mason, and Xavier Scott to combine for 28 carries for 143 yards and a touchdown. That works out to a yards per carry of 5.12. It's a funny deal. Not all of the stats for the Commanders' defense in this game were bad. The Commanders actually held the Vikings to just 313 total net yards of offense and just 5.13 yards per play. And the Commanders totaled 4 sacks, but so much of this game was garbage time, and there should be no mistaking what went down, okay? The Commanders' defense, again, was horrible. We last offseason saw General Manager Adam Peters revamp the team's defensive line and make major changes to the secondary. I wonder, you gotta wonder, if we this coming offseason get a revamping of every defensive unit. The defensive line, the linebackers, the cornerbacks, and the safeties. I wonder if we next regular season have like 9 new starters on defense. I'm not kidding. I mean, I would not be surprised by that. Like, massive change to the defense to where you get like near wholesale change. The defense has been that bad. And yes, the injuries. The Commanders have 4 defensive starters on the reserve/injured list, and edge defenders Dorrance Armstrong and Dietrich Wise Jr., and cornerbacks Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos. But that does not excuse the defense getting torn apart by one of the worst offenses in the NFL, in the Vikings offense. We, during Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon, had this back and forth between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Quinn.
Defensively, you talk about you guys were just off.
Yeah, third downs felt like the most.
You've had moments like the first half of Kansas City where things are clicking and then it kind of comes unraveled. What's it like for you on the sideline? Like, do you have any... Is it hard to, I guess, just reconcile what you're seeing?
Yeah, because I think like when the margins are close, man, you got to go nail it. And so sometimes you may see a certain technique, a little bit further, go for the ball, make your spot. Sometimes I felt like when you're too deep, like go be aggressive and challenge. And so going into it, I thought the guys had a good week in terms of the preparation to go. But the execution tonight, like I'll give credit to them as well. But I just felt like we had to be tighter and be able to guard them better. But I thought that was the real difference, especially that long drive. And I don't know if that was what you said, 5 or 6 in that space. Like, I think that was that was crucial, Nicky, in that one. Like, you got to go find your ways to get your stop. And obviously I'll dig in call-wise, what could be the same, what could be different. What do we execute, what we didn't execute at a high enough level. And that's what we'll do.
Okay, Commander special teams in this loss at the Vikings. Kicker Jake Moody, he did not attempt a field goal or an extra point. We saw him do the game's opening kickoff, and that was it. Punter Tressway, he over 3 punts, averaged 46.7 yards per punt and 44 net yards per punt. Receiver Jalen Lane was the Commanders' primary punt returner, but the Commanders did not register any punt returns. The Vikings punted just once. The receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. was the Commanders' primary kickoff returner. He over 4 kickoff returns, averaged just 21.75 yards per return, and the Commanders had a penalty on one of his returns. The safety Percy Butler committed a 10-yard holding penalty on a first quarter kickoff return by Deebo, and the Commanders gave up a big kickoff return. They allowed Vikings kickoff returner and receiver Miles Price to have a 35-yard return of the game's opening kickoff. All right, here is an outstanding book for you if you're a Washington fan, or for a Washington fan who you care about this holiday season. RFK All Access by Scott Cunningham, who served as a photographer for NFL properties for years and who photographed the Redskins extensively during their glory days in the 1980s and early 1990s. Scott, via RFK All Access, has put together a compilation of his best Redskins photos, many of which are behind-the-scenes photos. Joe Gibbs, Jack Kent Cooke, Richie Pettibone, the Hogs, the Posse, Sonny Sam and Frank, all and so many more are featured in this book, which is 392 pages of glorious Skins history, 5 pounds of Redskins gold. If you are a serious Washington fan, if you are a Skins historian, this book is a must-have. Makes for a terrific addition to any Skins-themed man cave. Also makes for a great gift. I have the book. It is sensational. Heck, this is a book that has been endorsed by Joe Gibbs himself. Quote, "This is a great book filled with great memories," end quote. And the book now is available for an all-time low price. Take advantage of this special holiday season sale. RFK All Access. You can get the book by visiting rfkallaccess.com. And when you order the book, mention in the notes section that Al Galdi sent you. Doing that helps out this podcast a lot. That's rfkallaccess.com. rfkallaccess.com. And mention that Al Galdi sent you. Time now to talk college football. We just had week 15 of the 2025 season, and the college football playoff now is set, and bowl games now are set. And the college football playoff includes James Madison. More on that in moments, but did you see the Virginia Tech news on Sunday morning? We on Sunday morning had reports that Tech is hiring the man who it in September fired as head coach, Brent Pry, as defensive coordinator. Tech's new head coach, James Franklin, is reuniting with Brent Pry. This is something. Tech on September 14th announced having fired head coach Brent Pry and having named offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery as interim head coach. Brent Pry in November 2021 came to Tech off 8 seasons, 2014 through 2021, as defensive coordinator and linebackers coach at Penn State under James Franklin. Pry was co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach for the 2014 and 2015 seasons and was the solo defensive coordinator and linebackers coach for the rest of his time at Penn State. James Franklin on October 12th was fired by Penn State. Tech on November 17th announced having hired Franklin as head coach, and now Tech is bringing back Pry as defensive coordinator. Crazy, but I do like this for Virginia Tech. Pry may not be a great head coach, but he is a proven defensive coordinator. Well, James Franklin was James Madison's receivers coach for the 1997 season, and JMU has made the college football playoff. The scenario of chaos that I outlined on this past Friday's show, episode 1212, ended up happening. James Madison won the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. Virginia lost the ACC Championship game, and JMU made the 12-team college football playoff. Now, to the criticism of, hey, James Madison should not be in the college football playoff, that JMU is not one of the 12 best teams in the FBS, I say, yeah, that's right. James Madison is not one of the 12 best teams in the FBS. Understand that JMU isn't even one of the 12 best teams in the FBS according to the college football playoff rankings. The season's sixth college football playoff rankings came out on Sunday afternoon. JMU, per those rankings, is the number 24 team in the FBS. But the rules are the rules. So the top 5 conference champions are guaranteed automatic bids to the college football playoff. But the language is top 5 conference champions. In other words, could be Power 4 conference champions, could be Group of 6 champions. The Power 4 conferences are the Big 10, SEC, Big 12, and ACC. The Group of 6 conferences are the Pac-12, AAC, Sun Belt Conference, Conference USA, Mid-American Conference, and Mountain West Conference. James Madison, as the number 24 team in the FBS, is the 5th ranked conference champion in the college football playoff rankings, and thus is in the college football playoff. The rules are the rules. I'm not mad about this. I am happy for James Madison. And what a wild last few days for James Madison. Friday night, then number 25, James Madison, improved to 12-1 overall, including 9-0 in the Sun Belt Conference, with a 31-14 win over Troy at Bridgeford Stadium in Harrisonburg, Virginia, in the 2025 Sun Belt Conference Championship game. JMU won its 11th consecutive game. JMU at the half had a 17-14 lead. We had a scoreless third quarter, and then JMU won the fourth quarter 14-0. The game time temperature was a mere 26 degrees. In fact, JMU Director of Athletics Matt Rohn, he at one point had to tell students to stop throwing snowballs on the field, a warning that doing so could result in a penalty for the James Madison Dukes. JMU running back Wayne Knight was named the game's MVP. He set a Sun Belt Conference Championship game record with 234 all-purpose yards. He had 21 carries for 212 yards and a touchdown, had 2 receptions for 11 yards, and had an 11-yard punt return. JMU quarterback Alonzo Barnett III went just 10 for 25 for just 93 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He took 3 sacks, although they totaled just minus 14 yards in lost yardage. He quarterbacked the Duke's offense that went just 2 for 14 on third downs, but he was very good as a runner. 9 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown when you take out the 3 sacks that he took. Then came Saturday. James Madison on Saturday at noon announced the hiring of Billy Napier as head coach and announced the departure of head coach Bob Chesney to become UCLA's head coach. As off each item having been known for days, we finally got official announcements. So UCLA on Saturday at noon. At the same time that James Madison announced the departure of Chesney, announced the hiring of Chesney, who, by the way, will coach JMU in the playoffs. So this is quite the bizarre scenario, but it is nice to see that Chesney is leaving JMU on good enough terms to where he's coaching the team in the playoff. Heck, Bob Chesney did a session with reporters on Sunday afternoon. During that session, had this exchange.
If you put yourself back in your shoes on day one when you walked in here, how crazy of a dream or realistic of a moment was this, kind of as a possibility?
Well, we certainly talked about it, and I think that you talk about a lot of things, but once you say those words and they come out of your mouth, now the work begins, and that's really what I was really, proud of our guys. We sat there all last year, or whenever it was when we were down there, first picked to be first, picked to win the conference. Those expectations from the outside were nice, but we said that's, our expectations for this program are significantly higher than the outside world's expectations for us. And our expectations were to be here where we're standing today in this 12-team playoff, and that's where we're at.
All right, regarding JMU hiring Billy Napier as head coach, I'm a big fan of this hire. Napier was the head coach for the University of Florida November 28th, 2021 to this past October 19th. He as Florida head coach went just 22-23 overall, including just 12-16 in the SEC. But Napier was the head coach for the University of Louisiana at Lafayette from December 15th, 2017 to November 28th, 2021. He as Louisiana head coach went 40-12 12 overall, and he made the Sun Belt Conference Championship game in each of his 4 seasons as Louisiana head coach. This is a guy who has shown that he can dominate the Sun Belt Conference, and because he had a failed run as Florida head coach, would seem unlikely to leave after just, say, 2 seasons as JMU head coach like Bob Chesney did, even if things for Napier as JMU head coach go really well. JMU hiring Billy Napier as head coach works in multiple ways, and then Sunday afternoon, we learned of James Madison making the college football playoff, a tremendous accomplishment for a program that has been an FBS program for just 4 seasons, 2022 through 2025. We have number 12 seeded JMU at number 5 seeded Oregon on Saturday night, December 20th at 7:30. JMU in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday morning remained as the number 19 team in the FBS. As for Virginia, a brutal loss. Then number 17 Virginia fell to 10-3 overall, including 7-2 in the ACC, with a 27-20 overtime loss to Duke at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina in the 2025 ACC Championship Game on Saturday night. UVA for this game was the number 17 team in the FBS for the season's 5th college football playoff rankings, which came out this past Tuesday night, December 2nd, and UVA off this loss moved down to being the number 19 team in the FBS for the season's 6 college football playoff rankings, which came out on Sunday afternoon. UVA with this loss to Duke fell to 3-1 in overtime games this season. The Cavaliers, off 3 big overtime wins this season, finally got in an overtime game. But UVA in this game overcame a 2010 fourth quarter deficit. A very mixed game for UVA quarterback and North Texas transfer Chandler Morris. He went just 21 for 40 for just 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, which came in the fourth quarter and overtime. The interception in overtime came on a trick play. That was a killer. He took 1 sack, which was for a 6-yard loss. He had 2 carries for 3 yards when you take out the sack that he took. But Morris quarterbacked a big drive, a 10-play, 96-yard drive that took just 1:22 off the clock and resulted in a 1st and 10, 18-yard shotgun touchdown pass to receiver Eli Wood down the left sideline with 22 seconds left in the fourth quarter. A tremendous moment in the game. UVA did remain without running back Xavier Brown due to injury, but running backs Jamari Taylor, a North Carolina Central transfer, and Harrison Whaley, a Wyoming transfer, combined for 26 carries for 131 yards and combined for 6 receptions for 42 yards and a touchdown on 12 targets. Also, UVA's defense, which was without one of its best players, linebacker Cam Robinson, due to a season-ending torn ACL, held Duke to a yards per play of just 4.83 and to just 6 for 16 on 3rd downs. A tough loss in what was Virginia's biggest game in years. During UVA head coach Tony Elliott's post-game press conference late night on Saturday night, had this exchange.
Hey, Coach, Steve Reed from the AP. To come back from 10 down with 5 minutes to go and kind of had that momentum on your side, and I just wonder if you can talk about what is kind of your overriding emotion, and what was your message also, secondly, to the guys in the locker room?
So it's just a testament to who they've been all season. It gets frustrating at times because you win close games, you don't win by enough points, right? You have teams that are balanced and do well in the situations that win football games, and then it's not talked about. But the approach that we have is we understand how competitive our league is and how competitive we believe college football is going to be going forward. So our approach is to have a one possession mentality, right? And so all we're looking for is one possession, get it to the fourth quarter, go win the game in the fourth quarter. And my message to the team in the locker room is obviously disappointed. It hurts, and there's nothing that I can say to take away the pain. But I also told them how much I love them, how proud I am of the football team that was picked 14th out of 17th and earned, the right to be here. We came up short tonight. It's unfortunate, but we earned the right to be here. We overcome so much adversity. 3 years ago, this program was written off. I don't think anybody would have thought that we'd be here this quickly in this position. And so what I told them is, being a champion really is a state of mind, right, and a condition of your heart. And that's what I told them. So in my mind, and I know this may sound crazy in this situation, but I believe I got the right to call somebody a champion, right, with my background. And they got a heart of a champion. The football team that lost tonight came up a touchdown short. They got the heart of a champion, or they wouldn't have been in the situation that they're in. But also, when you're trying to climb that mountain and get to the top, the air is thin, and the margin for error is very, 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 very small. And then we got one more game. We got an opportunity to go win 11, right? And that's what I told them. I said, I want that 11th. And I think everybody in that locker room wants that 11th. And we'll learn from tonight. We'll grow. We're not going to point any fingers, except for when you're looking in the mirror, you point to yourself on what you can do better. And we're going to grow, and we're going to bounce back. And I believe 3 years ago, right, I believe that there was going to be triumph out of tragedy. And tonight, I believe this is, an opportunity for us to set our eyes forward, learn from our mistakes, and go back to work.
Yeah, everything with Virginia football is viewed through the prism of the horrendous tragedy. November 13th, 2022, a former Virginia running back shooting and killing 3 Virginia football players and shooting and wounding 2 other Virginia students, including another Virginia football player. The 3 Virginia players who were killed, receiver Lavelle Davis Jr., receiver and Wisconsin transfer Devin Chandler, and edge defender Deshaun Perry. As for what's next for Virginia, we have Virginia versus Missouri in the Tech Slayer Gator Bowl at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday night, December 27th at 7:30. By the way, Virginia in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday morning went down 4 spots from number 16 to number 20. And regarding the 2 other bowl-eligible FBS teams of the Mid-Atlantic region, Navy versus Cincinnati in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee on Friday afternoon, January 2nd at 4:30. Navy in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday morning moved up 1 spot from number 23 to number 22. And Old Dominion versus South Florida in the Staff DNA Cure Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida on Wednesday evening, December 17th at 5. Cash App is the best way to make sure that your financial transactions are safe. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App. Use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
So MLB's 2025 winter meetings are underway. Even though technically we're not in winter, we're still in fall. But MLB's 2025 winter meetings are underway. They started on Sunday, last through Wednesday, are taking place in Orlando, Florida. All kinds of talk and rumors and speculation about the Washington Nationals potentially trading starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore and/or shortstop C.J. Abrams. But the Nats on Saturday evening announced a major trade not involving Gore or Abrams. The Nats on Saturday evening announced having traded lefty reliever Jose A. Ferrer to the Seattle Mariners for two prospects, catcher Harry Ford and right-handed pitcher Isaac Lyon. The first major player transaction by Paul Taboni of the Nats on October 1st, announcing the hiring of Taboni as president of baseball operations. And my number one takeaway with this trade is that the Nats are done with Keibert Ruiz as their number one catcher. The key aspect of this trade from a Nats perspective is Harry Ford. The 2026 season will be his age 23 season. He is one of the top catching prospects in baseball. He is the number 42 overall prospect in baseball per MLB Pipeline and is the number 74 overall prospect in baseball per Baseball America. Was taken by the Mariners with the number 12 overall pick in the 2021 MLB draft out of a high school in Georgia. You don't trade for a Harry Ford if you're still planning on going with Keibert Ruiz as your number one catcher. Things just have not gone well for him with the Nats, even though, yes, there is the contract. The Nats on March 11th, 2023 announced having agreed with Ruiz on an 8-year contract extension with two club options. So the first 8 seasons of the contract extension reportedly were worth $50 million. But he has not been a good player, and his future is in doubt due to his concussion struggles this past season. The Nats this past June 24th announced having placed Ruiz on the 10-day injured list with a head contusion. The Nats on June 27th announced having transferred Ruiz to the 7-day concussion injured list. The Nats on July 4th announced having reinstated Ruiz from that 7-day concussion injured list, but the Nats just 4 days later, July 8th, announced having placed Ruiz back on the 7-day concussion injured list, retroactive to July 6th. And we on September 8th learned that the Nats had pulled Ruiz from his minor league rehab assignment due to a recurrence of mild headaches. The health of Keibert Ruiz has emerged as a big-time concern, but beyond that, the performance just has not been good. Keibert Ruiz, over the last 2 MLB regular seasons, over 752 plate appearances, has an OPS plus of just 72. That's really bad. OPS plus is OPS that's adjusted for a player's league and home ballpark. 100 is league average. Below 100 is bad. Above 100 is good. And Ruiz's advanced defensive stats, for the most part, have been bad. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Keibert Ruiz. Do the Nats cut him and eat the money? Does he become the Nats' number 2 catcher? Could the Nats possibly trade him? I mean, could there possibly be any takers for him? And then there's this. Could he end up retiring due to the concussion problems? This guy, Isaac Lyon, he's a low-level pitching prospect. The 2026 season will be his age 22 season. He was taken by the Mariners in the 10th round of the 2025 MLB draft out of Grand Canyon University in Arizona. It does hurt the Nats to lose Jose A. Ferrer, no doubt. The 2026 season will be just his age 26 season. He's under team control through the 2029 season. He is a young, flame-throwing lefty under team control for years to come, who, upon being promoted to closer/ace reliever this past regular season, did some really good work. But if you can get a franchise catcher for a relief pitcher, you do that. Relievers are fickle. They are unpredictable. They are year-to-year. Catcher is one of the hardest positions in all of sports to truly solve. There just are not that many good catchers. Now, the Mariners have a franchise catcher in Cal Raleigh, so they could afford to trade Harry Ford. No guarantees with Harry Ford, of course, but there is a lot to like with him. He, for AAA Tacoma this past season, had an OPS of .868, including a .408 on-base percentage. Big-time move by Paul Taboni, and more big-time moves could be coming. Well, the Washington Capitals now are 10-1-1 over their last 12 games. 2 games for the Caps over the weekend. Late night on Friday night, a 4-3 shootout loss at the Anaheim Ducks. So the loss did snap the Caps' 6-game winning streak, but also concluded a 4-game road trip on which the Caps went 3-0-1. They on the road trip got 7 of a possible 8 points. And Sunday night, a 2-0 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets at Capital One Arena. The Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are 18-9-3, good for 39 points, the most points in the Eastern Conference. Now, the Caps do have 2 new injuries. The Caps' third-line right wing, Ryan Leonard, he in that shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night, left the game due to an upper body injury, which he suffered on a vicious blindside hit by Ducks defenseman Jacob Trouba behind the Ducks net in the first period. Trouba, however, did not receive a penalty. Receiving a penalty, though, was another defenseman named Jacob. Caps defenseman Jacob Chikrin, he got hit with a 2-minute roughing minor for coming to the defense of Leonard, and the Caps on Sunday morning announced having placed Leonard on injured reserve. Not good. Ryan Leonard was doing really well. Also, the Caps' number 2 goaltender, Charlie Lindgren, he during the Caps' morning skate on Friday morning suffered an upper body injury, and the Caps on Sunday morning announced having placed him on injured reserve and announced having recalled goaltender Clay Stevenson from their AHL affiliate, the Hershey Bears. And how about this? The Caps' backup goaltender for the shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night was Parker Milner, who's 35 years old, played collegiately at Boston College, was on the road trip serving as an extra goaltender for the Caps during practices, and signed a professional tryout contract in order to serve as the Caps' backup goaltender for this game. Parker Milner, his regular job is working as a food critic. He is the food editor for the Post and Courier in Charleston, South Carolina. Good thing he didn't have to play. Also, defenseman John Carlson now has missed 3 consecutive games due to an upper body injury. Some good news, winger Justin Sordiff in that shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night returned from a 1-game absence caused by a lower body injury. He had a primary assist. But the Caps are missing some key guys right now, including center Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's on injured reserve, but the Caps keep winning. More good work by goaltender Logan Thompson. The shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night. Thompson stopped 35 of the 38 shots on goal that he faced, including all 11 of the shots on goal that he faced over the third period and overtime. The Caps had just 21 shots on goal to the Ducks' 38. But the puck possession battle in terms of 5-on-5 play was a lot closer. The Caps per natural stat trick had 48 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Ducks' 53, including having 14 5-on-5 high danger shot attempts to the Ducks' 10. The win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, Thompson pitched a shutout, stopped all 39 of the shots on goal that he faced. The puck possession battle was even. The Caps had 38 shots on goal to the Blue Jackets' 39, and per natural stat trick had 44 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Blue Jackets' 47, including each team having 10 5-on-5 high danger shot attempts. But Logan Thompson now, over his last 6 starts, goals against average of 1.32, save percentage of 955. Outstanding. And he's a big reason why the Caps' penalty kill is doing well. The shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night, the Caps went 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. The win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, the Caps went 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. Going back to that shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night, I mentioned the Caps going 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. Jacob Chikrin committed 3 minor penalties, though he did have a game-high 4 block shots and was tied for number 2 in total shot attempts in the game at 9. And Chikrin in the win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night scored an even-strength goal 50 seconds into the second period for his 11th goal in this regular season, and he was number 3 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game. Per natural stat trick at 55, the Caps with Chikrin on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 22 shot attempts versus allowing 18 shot attempts. Not a good weekend for the Caps power play. The shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night, the Caps went 0 for 3 on the power play. The win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, the Caps went 0 for 4 on the power play. But 3 offensive standouts for the Caps over the weekend were Alex Ovechkin, Tom Wilson, and Alexei Protas. So the Great 8 8. Alex Ovechkin, the shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night. Ovi, as the Caps' top-line left wing, had no points, but did have a game-high 13 total shot attempts, including a team-high 4 shots on goal, and he was number 4 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 55.88. The Caps with Ovi on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 19 shot attempts versus allowing 15 shot attempts. The win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, Ovi, as the Caps' top-line right wing, had no points, but was tied for number 3 in the game in shots on goal at 5, and he was number 4 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 54.55. The Caps with Ovi on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 12 shot attempts versus allowing 10 shot attempts. Tom Wilson, he served as the Caps' second-line right wing in each game. The shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night, Wilson scored an even-strength goal 9:29 into the first period for his 17th goal in this regular season, and he had a game-high 7 hits. And the win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, Wilson had a primary assist, was tied for number 1 in the game with 6 shots on goal, and was number 1 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 66.67. The Caps with Wilson on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 16 shot attempts versus allowing 8 shot attempts. And Alexi Protas, he served as the Caps' second-line left wing in each game. The shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night, Protas scored an even-strength goal 7:38 into the second period, did commit a second period tripping minor, but the win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, Protas scored an even-strength empty net goal 18:34 into the third period for his 10th goal in this regular season. Healthy scratches for the Caps over the weekend. The shootout loss at the Ducks late night on Friday night. The Caps' healthy scratches were winger Sonny Milano and defenseman Dylan McElrath. The win over the Blue Jackets on Sunday night, the Caps' healthy scratches were defenseman Declan Chisholm and forward Bogdan Trineyev, who is back. The Caps on Sunday morning announced having recalled Trineyev from Hershey. Next up for the Caps, home to the Carolina Hurricanes Thursday night at 7. The Caps and Hurricanes, as things stand right now, are the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. Well, just one game for our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards over the weekend, but this was quite the game. A lot to get to with this game. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season fell to 3-19 with a 131-116 loss to the Atlanta Hawks at Capital One Arena on Saturday night. The Hawks were without some key guys due to injury, Trae Young, former Wizard Kristaps Porzingis, but the Wizards were without 5 key players due to injury. Chris Middleton did not play due to right knee soreness. Bilal Coulibaly did not play for a second consecutive game due to a strained right oblique. Alex Sarr did not play for a 4th consecutive game due to a right adductor strain. Trey Johnson did not play for a 7th consecutive game due to a left hip flexor strain. And Corey Kispert did not play for a 5th consecutive game due to a right thumb injury. The Wizards right now are experiencing a 2025 Washington Commanders-like run of injury luck. The Wizards in this loss to the Hawks did not hold a lead over the second, third, and fourth quarters. However, the Wizards did overcome a 20-point second quarter deficit to tie the game at 97 in the fourth quarter. They then lost the rest of the game 34-19. Now, before we go any further, we in this game had a really interesting development. Cam Whitmore, a key young player for the Wizards, was a DNP CD. He did not play due to coach's decision. And Wizards head coach Brian Keefe, during his post-game press conference on Saturday night, was pretty clear about why Cam Whitmore was a DNP CD. We, during the presser, had this back and forth between Wizards insider Varun Shankar of the Washington Post and Keefe.
Cam Whitmore did not play tonight. He was questionable coming in with an illness. Did that factor into the decision, or was it just about wanting to look at different guys?
We got a lot of deep guys. We have a deep wing roster in our team. We all know that. Right now, we want to see, and JC is the one who's playing really well. We wanted to see more minutes of him, but we also wanted to see an opportunity for Jameer, Will, and Malachi. And I thought all those guys contributed really well tonight to the game. That was the most important thing. Cam was not in the lineup tonight. We have certain standards that we have for our team. he has to live up to those on the better, and he'll have a chance here, but that's going to be up to him when that time comes, and has to meet the standards and expectations that we have for him as a team. And that was the reason he wasn't in the game tonight.
What are the standards that you're not seeing with Cam?
That's the stuff we talk about internally. So that's it's more just the stuff we saw in the game, but I don't have anything more to comment on that.
So, Brian Keefe on having Kim Whitmore as a DNP CD, quote, "We have certain standards that we have for our team. He has to live up to those on the better, and he'll have a chance here, but that's going to be up to him when that time comes," end quote. Wow. We are not used to hearing Brian Keefe. We're not used to hearing our guy Chief Keefe talk like that. Hard to comment on this without knowing what exactly Cam Whitmore has done wrong, but he had not been playing well. Whitmore, at each of the Wizards' 2 previous games, had gone 2 for 11 from the field, 0 for 4 on threes, just 2 for 7 on twos. But I'll say this, if this is about poor work ethic or poor work habits, and usually that's what this kind of thing is about, then good for Brian Keefe for holding a player like Cam Whitmore accountable. The Wizards in this loss to the Hawks got out-rebounded 45-26, including having just 4 offensive rebounds to the Hawks' 15, and thus just 13 second-chance points to the Hawks' 29. The Wizards' defense was mixed. They held the Hawks to just 13 for 39 on threes and generated 15 Hawks turnovers, but the Wizards allowed the Hawks to go 39 for 59 on twos and giving up 70 points in the paint. The Wizards' shooting was good. They went 17 for 38 on threes, 24 for 42 on twos, and 17 for 19 on free throws. But the Wizards committed 20 turnovers, including a combined 11 turnovers from 2 starters. So the Wizards' leading scorer was C.J. McCollum. He, in 35 minutes, 53 seconds as a starter, had 28 points and 3 assists. He went 7 for 12 on threes, just 2 for 5 on twos, and 3 for 4 on free throws, but he committed 6 turnovers. And Keyshawn George, he, in 36-10 as a starter, had 15 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals. He went 3 for 7 on threes and 3 for 4 on twos, did not attempt a free throw, but he committed 5 turnovers. I really like seeing Bob Carrington have one of his better games this season. He, in 36-58 as a starter, had 14 points and 9 assists versus 1 turnover. He went 3 for 4 on threes, 1 for 2 on twos, and 3 for 3 on free throws. Did have a game worst plus-minus rating of -22, but in what has been a bad season for Bob Carrington so far, he in this game did some good stuff. Here was Brian Keefe during his post-game press conference on Saturday night on Bob Carrington.
Bob's been with us for over a year and some change now. He's still an emerging player. I loved what he brought tonight. When you were down, I think he played 21 minutes in the first half. Got a little bit of sub there in the second half, but he brought great moxie, great physicality, great defensive pressure, and then that ability to control the game he did, finding the spots, getting our guys organized. Obviously, the assists stand out, but I love the pace and the physicality he played with on defense tonight. Really good.
All right, Justin Champagnie, he in 32-10 as a starter, had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists versus no turnovers and 3 blocks. He went 2 for 3 on threes, 4 for 6 on twos, and 2 for 3 on free throws. And the Wizards got a combined 33 points off the bench from Tristan Vukcevic and Will Riley. Tristan Vukcevic in 27-16 off the bench had 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists versus 1 turnover. He went 6 for 8 on twos and 3 for 3 on free throws. Did go just 1 for 6 on threes. And Will Riley, who just recently cracked the rotation of Brian Keefe. Riley, in exactly 19 minutes off the bench, had 15 points. He went 5 for 7 on twos and 2 for 2 on free throws. Did go just 1 for 5 on threes and did have no assists versus 3 turnovers. Given how many key players the Wizards were missing due to injury, this to me was a more than respectable performance by the Wizards off, remember, their atrocious performance in the 146-101 loss to the Boston Celtics at Capital One Arena this past Thursday night. Next up for the Wizards, home to the Cleveland Cavaliers Friday night at 7.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
And let's talk college basketball. A good test for Georgetown, but the Hoyas did not exactly ace the test. Georgetown in the 2025-2026 regular season fell to 6-3 overall with an 81-61 loss at number 16 North Carolina on Sunday evening. Georgetown in the second half trailed by just 3 points at 46-43, but the Hoyas then lost the rest of the game 35-18. Georgetown's shooting from the field was really bad. The Hoyas went just 4 for 23 on threes and just 20 for 49 on twos. So Georgetown held UNC to just 9 for 28 on threes, but allowed UNC to go 20 for 32 on twos as the Hoyas got worked by UNC's two starting bigs, 6'10 true freshman Caleb Wilson and 7-foot Arizona transfer Henry Vesar. They combined for 38 points, 29 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 4 assists versus 4 turnovers. So Georgetown lost despite committing just 4 turnovers. So UNC committed just 9 turnovers. So Georgetown's leading scorer was 6'4 Arizona transfer KJ Lewis. He in just 28 minutes as a starter had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals. He went just 1 for 5 on threes, but also 6 for 10 on twos and 2 for 2 on free throws. So Georgetown was without 6'5 Maryland transfer Deshaun Harris-Smith. He was not available for this game due to personal reasons, and Georgetown does remain without 7'1 St. John's transfer Vince Iwuchukwu due to an undisclosed medical reason. Next up for Georgetown, home to St. Peter's in a game at McDonough Arena on the campus of Georgetown Saturday afternoon at 2:30. Another blowout loss for Maryland. It in this regular season fell to 6-4 overall, including 0-1 in the Big Ten with an 83-64 loss at Iowa on Saturday. Not a good way to begin conference play. A 19-point loss. Maryland trailed by at least 14 points for all of the second half. And Maryland now has lost 3 of its last 4 games, with each of the 3 losses being a blowout. A 161 loss to then number 12 Gonzaga at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas late night on Tuesday night, November 25th in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship, and a 105-72 loss to then number 8 Alabama at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas on Wednesday night / Thanksgiving morning, November 26th/27th in that 2025 Players Era Men's Championship. Maryland in games against good teams has looked really bad. Maryland's offense in this loss at Iowa was terrible. The Terrapins went just 6 for 20 on threes, just 11 for 27 on twos, and just 24 for 38 on free throws, and had just 7 assists versus 18 turnovers. So Maryland's defense was not good. The Terps allowed Iowa to score 83 points, go 9 for 22 on threes, and 25 for 41 on twos, and have 19 assists versus 10 turnovers. Maryland got outscored in the paint 44-20 and got outscored in terms of points off turnovers 21-4. Maryland lost despite having 38 free throw attempts to Iowa's 12. Maryland's leading scorer was 6'9 Texas A&M transfer Pharrell Payne. He in 38 minutes as a starter had 17 points, 14 rebounds, including 7 offensive boards and 2 assists, but he went just 4 for 9 from the field, all twos, and just 9 for 18 on free throws, and he committed 5 turnovers. The defense of Iowa on Payne was actually quite good. A lot of double teams on Payne, and he had trouble with those double teams. Next up for Maryland, a big game, home to number 3 Michigan Saturday night at 8. Virginia Tech in this regular season improved to 8-2 overall with a 73-62 win over George Mason at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia on Saturday afternoon. A convincing win for Tech over a George Mason team that came into this game 9-0 overall in this regular season. Tech's biggest deficit was a mere 2-point deficit. That came in the first half, and the Hokies' largest lead was a 23-point lead, which came in the second half. And the Hokies did what they did despite remaining without a key player in 6'8 Toby Lowell. He did not play for a 4th consecutive game due to a foot injury. Tech's defense was very good. The Hokies held George Mason to just 7 for 21 on threes and just 15 for 34 on twos, and totaled 8 steals and generating 16 George Mason turnovers. Tech's offense was good. The Hokies went 9 for 25 on threes, 18 for 32 on twos, and 10 for 13 on free throws, and had 16 assists versus 9 turnovers. Tech got a terrific game from 6'8 West Virginia transfer Amani Hansberry. He in 34 minutes, 58 seconds as a starter, had 15 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists versus 1 turnover, and 3 steals. He went 7 for 10 from the field, all twos, and 1 for 2 on free throws. Tech's leading scorer was 6'5" Jayden Shoot. He in 25-20 off the bench had 18 points and a game-best tying plus-minus rating of plus 14. He went 6 for 12 on threes, 0 for 1 on twos, did not attempt a free throw. Next up for Virginia Tech, home to Western Carolina Thursday night at 7. And Virginia, in this regular season, improved to 8-1 overall with an 86-73 win over Dayton at Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina on Saturday afternoon. In a battle of 2 former VCU head coaches, UVA's Ryan Odom and Dayton's Anthony Grant. UVA won by 13 points despite committing a whopping 21 turnovers to Dayton's 9 and thus getting outscored in terms of points off turnovers 22-9. But UVA out-rebounded Dayton 41-25. UVA shot well from the field, 12 for 20 on threes, 15 for 25 on twos, and UVA held Dayton to just 7 for 23 on threes and just 18 for 41 on twos. So UVA's leading scorer was 6'3" North Dakota State transfer Jakari White. What a game for him. He in just 23-58 off the bench, had 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Did commit 4 turnovers, but he went 7 for 7 on threes, also went 2 for 2 on twos, did not attempt a free throw. White going 9 for 9 from the field, marked the first time that a UVA player went at least 9 for 9 from the field in a regular season game since Mike Scott in February 2012. Next up for Virginia, home to Maryland Eastern Shore, Tuesday night at 7. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday show, episode 1214. We'll have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders, as we on Monday have head coach Dan Quinn's day after the game press conference. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.
What I told the team was I thought we took a step forward last week, and tonight I thought we took 3 steps back.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.